السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسول النبي الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قال الله تعالى في شان حبيبي إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد بارك وسلم عليه صلاة وسلاما عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. Today is the 28th of Rajab. So yesterday, of course, was the 27th. So the night between Wednesday and Thursday was the 27th night. And according to many scholars, that is the night of the Meraj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's kind of odd saying the Meraj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because every moment of him is a Meraj in reality. So we started speaking about this last week and just kind of giving the background to the conditions that existed just before the journey. And, as we said, this was right after the boycott that lasted for 3 years was lifted, right after the passing of the two major supporters of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his wife, Bibi Khadija al-Kubra, radiallahu anha, and his uncle, Hazrat Abu Talib, radiallahu anhu. And of course, after this is when he went to Taif. And I didn't mention this last week, but he goes to Taif, and we know how he was treated in Taif. And so after the return from Taif is when this journey takes place. The important points to remember, and this is, whenever we're talking about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're not just talking about anybody. We're talking about khayr khalqillah, Habibullah, and khayr khalqillah. He is the beloved of Allah, and there is no other one who has this title. No prophet, no angel, nothing. And he is khayr khalqillah, he is the best creation of Allah. And no other creation even comes close to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, as we mentioned, this is why when he mentions Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or refers to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran, he doesn't need to specify who he's talking about. As in the verse, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi. Whereas with all the other prophets, he specifies which abd. Abdana Dawood, Abdahu Zakaria. So he specifies. Here, an abd, it is the greatest title of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet at the same time, it is the most basic title of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because everything in creation is abd. But even at this basic level, nothing even approaches Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in even being abd. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to specify which abd, because everybody knows which abd. because there is no abd like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when at the most basic level there is nothing or no one that even comes close to him, then at his higher level, then, you know, you don't even, there's not even, you can't even compare or use words that would make anyone else come close to him. When, you know, as we specified, or as you mentioned last week, part of the purpose of this journey is to show, or during this journey, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has shown various signs. And the interesting wording there is min ayatina, from the signs. These are the ones that he mentions, but he knows, but he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he is a witness over all of creation. He is shown all of the signs. He simply mentions a few of them. You know, the basics of the journey most people know. You know, of course, from Mecca he goes to Jerusalem. There he leads all of the prophets in salat, so that there is no ambiguity as to who he is amongst the people. I mean, the prophets already know him because they already told everybody about his coming. Every prophet told his people about the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whether by names or characteristics, everyone told them. And so to make sure that no one thinks that there is some difference here as to the message that he brought, but also to think that anyone is even approaching his level, he leads them all in salat. They've all come from wherever they were. All of them. And then from there, of course, you know, he's taken to the first heaven. And here, heaven, you know, people, when I say heaven, in English it becomes confusing, because heaven and paradise are used interchangeable. In Arabic, sama, you know, samawat, the heavens, this is very different than jannat. You know, it's not the same thing. Jannah is paradise. Heavens, or sama, are, you know, I guess, you could think of them as the skies, but it's beyond that. So on the first heaven, he meets Adam alayhi salam, and then the second heaven. You know, and again, and I keep emphasizing these points whenever I talk about this because people forget. He just led Adam alayhi salam in salat in Masjid al-Aqsa. Now he leaves and he meets him again. You know, this is all a procession. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us the protocol, the honor that is given to his beloved, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Adam alayhi salam, who just finished making salat behind him, now meets him again. And this is emphasized, you know, if you read the narrations, you know, when they arrive at the gate of the first heaven, Jibreel alayhi salam stops, along with, you know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stops with him. And Jibreel alayhi salam knocks on the door. He's never had to knock on the door before. He comes and goes. But he knocks on the door. Why? The gatekeeper there asks, who is it? And he says, Jibreel. And he says, who is with you? And he says, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he asks, has he been sent for? You know, has his presence been requested? Which is interesting, you know, if you just listen to this conversation. Again, all of this is to try to get us to understand the maqam of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The angel, the gatekeeper, and this happens at every gate. 1 through 7, every gate, Jibreel alayhi salam knocks, and the same exact conversation takes place. Whoever the gatekeeper is at that level, ask, who is with you? And he specifies it is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he asks, was he sent for? Was his presence requested? And he says, yes. It's one thing, I want to go meet somebody and I just barge in. Or I don't even barge in. I simply go and I knock on the door and, if I haven't been requested, the one that I'm going to meet has the option of saying, I don't want to meet you. You go to somebody's house, uninvited, you knock on the door, they can simply say, I don't want to meet you. Here, that's not an option. Not only has he been sent for and requested, but he has been requested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. This is the maqam of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting him for this journey. The other reason to stop, because as this conversation is going on, and he says, has he been sent for? And he says, yes. Then the gates are opened, and everyone there, all the angels and all of those prophets at that station, are waiting to greet him. It's like when a king enters his court. He stops at the door. Why? To give everybody time to get ready for his coming, so that they can honor him properly. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having these angels show this protocol to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So again, stop at the gate, everybody gets set. One thing, everybody understands that he has been requested. And then everybody gets set to honor him properly. And then he enters. And so at the first heaven, Adam alayhi salam. The second heaven, Isa alayhi salam and Yahya alayhi salam. The third, Yusuf alayhi salam, and the fourth, Idris alayhi salam, who in English is probably Enoch. And then fifth is Harun alayhi salam, sixth is Musa alayhi salam, and seventh is Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then after these meetings, then, he's taken on a tour of Jannah and Jahannam, both heaven and hell. And he's taken on this tour, and he sees paradise and hell with the inhabitants. If you read the conversations between him and Jibreel alayhi salam, they're talking about the various punishments being given to people. He's seeing this. The judgment hasn't taken place from our perspective. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no past and there is no future. There only is. Allah is. Time doesn't matter. He is showing his Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam everything. In reality, he has already shown him, but he's showing him again everything. Both heaven and hell with the inhabitants. So he has seen us wherever we will be. And then Sidratul Muntaha, which the easiest of is defined as the loath tree. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described it. Its roots are in the sixth heaven, and its branches extend on. And its leaves are like the ears of elephants. But it symbolizes the end of creation, the limit of creation. And this is where, when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when they come to this point, the journey has not ended. In fact, the most important part of the journey is just getting ready to begin. You know, because the purpose of the journey, لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى, Surah Najm, and he saw of his Lord the greatest sign, which is interesting, because what is the greatest sign of anything? That thing. The easy example for me, since, is a hunting example. If you go into an area, like have patients, and they'll say, okay, well, come hunt on my land. So I go there, and I don't know if they're deer or not deer, or if they are deer or not. What do? I look around. I look for signs. Droppings, scrapes, rubs, something, hoof prints, something to tell me, yeah, there are deer that run through here. But all of those signs mean nothing if I see a deer. Once I've seen the deer, that's all I need to see. Now there's no doubt, okay, yes. Everything in creation is a sign of Allah. Because everything in creation should remind us of Allah. The greatest sign of Allah in creation is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself. Again, he is Khayr Khalqillah, the greatest creation of Allah. And again, nothing else, all of the rest of creation, all combined, comes even close to him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So when you're taking your greatest sign in creation and you're inviting him to come and see the greatest sign, what does that mean? That means that he saw Allah. And it's لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. It's kind of interesting. I'll get to that in a minute. We know the verse in Surah Bani Israel, the first verse, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explicitly mentions this night journey. But then the first 18 verses of Surah Najm implicitly talk about this same journey without mentioning the journey by name. In the other verse, Subhanallazi asra bi'abdihi. So it's mentioned by name. In Surah Najm, it's not mentioned by name, but anyone who reads it understands this is it. When you look at the way it starts, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears. When you swear by something that is close to you, something that is dear to you. And he swears by not Najum, but An-Najm, the star. So not just any star. So he's not swearing by a star, but he's swearing by the star as it returns. And Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam, who is the teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa, he is amongst the teachers of Imam Malik, he is amongst the teachers of, if you look at, directly or indirectly, everyone is his student. Whether it's religious knowledge or what we consider these days worldly scientific knowledge. Whether it's chemistry, physics, mathematics, astronomy, all of those fields, everyone who studies those fields, somehow that link goes back to him. Whether it's fiqh, Quran, hadith, doesn't matter. The link always goes back to him. So Imam Ja'far Sadiq al-Islam says that an-najm here is referring to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as he returns from the night journey. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by his Habib, by his beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he returns from this journey. مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى. That your companion did not stray, nor did he err. Because what happens when he comes back and he starts telling Quraysh about this journey? You have those who had just become Muslim who now apostate. And then you have those like Abu Jahl and Utbah and Shayba and all of these leaders of Quraysh who are, making fun, mocking him. Saying, he's confused, astaghfirullah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the interesting aspect of the Quran. If you read the Quran, any time the honor of Rasulullah is challenged, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly responds. Like with the other prophets, whenever their honor was challenged, he would tell them, you tell them this, or you say this. Or he would have somebody else respond in their defense. But whenever the honor of Rasulullah is challenged, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly responds. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Again, they challenged him, his honor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds directly. Same thing here. مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى. He's not confused. And this isn't some error on his part that maybe he thought he saw something or thought something happened. This is a definitive. And then وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى. And this is such a powerful statement, these two verses together. You have a negation followed by affirmation. Followed by affirmation. Because with a general rule, you can always have exceptions. And in general, every rule has exceptions. But when you have this negation followed by affirmation, then you are negating the exceptions. Just like in La ilaha illallah, there is no exception to Allah. Allah is the only Allah is the only ilah. He is the only one to be worshipped. There is no exception. Again, negation followed by the exception. And here also, وَمَا يَنْتِقَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. That he does not say anything from his own nafs, from his own hawa. Everything he says, without exception, is wahy. It is revelation. You know, because there are those who, when you mention these verses, say, oh, no, this is only talking about the Quran. This only refers to the Quran. The problem with them saying that is if you look at the context in which the verses were revealed. Quraysh weren't disputing some verse of the Quran. They were disputing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam telling them about the journey. I'm going to skip a few verses in between because time is almost up. And I want to mention the point of this one verse. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. And he revealed to his servant whatever he revealed. When you look at this verse, because you have people who always challenge the knowledge of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They existed back then, they still exist today, and they will exist tomorrow. There will always be these people who, under the guise of Islam, challenge the knowledge of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This one verse should be enough. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. That he revealed to his servant whatever he revealed. What did he reveal? He doesn't put any limit on it. There is no limitation as to what he revealed. So if there's no limitation on the revelation of Allah, there is no limit on the accepting of that revelation from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's also funny because some people, when they translate this verse, they'll say that, and he revealed to his servant through Jibreel whatever he revealed. That's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. And if you look at the context, or if you look at when the verse is referring to, this is referring to when he has left creation. La Makkah. And I hesitate to say that when he is in La Makkah, because La Makkah, I mean, again, our comprehension is limited, so the words are limited. No place. How do you go and come from no place? How are you in or outside of no place? This is after Sidratul Muntaha. This is beyond the limit of creation. This is when there is no Jibreel. There is only Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So how can you say that, he revealed to his servant through Jibreel whatever he revealed? These are the people who always want to belittle the honor and the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the other interesting aspect of that is, everyone acknowledges, or rather most everyone acknowledges, that the last two verses of Surah Baqarah, Amana Rasul bil mu'minina Amana Rasul bima unzila alayhim bil mu'minin. Amana Rasul bima unzila alayhim min rabbihim wal mu'minin. Jazakumullah khair. From there to the end of Surah Baqarah, were revealed at this, again, there is no time, there is no place, but at this moment, whatever that means. So again, there is no Jibreel. There are other verses as well. But again, it comes back to understanding Rasulullah is khayr khalqillah. So for him, because some people think, he saw Jibreel Islam in his true form. It's not a big deal for him. He himself is greater than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made him greater than every other thing in creation. Period. So inshallah we'll end here today. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand and to try to get a glimpse of the maqam of his beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May he fill our hearts with his true love and the true love of his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all of those whom they love. And may he give our brothers and sisters in Palestine victory over the oppressors, and may he remove the oppressors from this path. Those who have not made sunnah, go and make sunnah, inshallah.